people who buy NFTs are fucking idiots. Oh, I could moan about politics too. Boris Johnson's a fucking idiot. But anyway, Brexit was bad. Welcome to WCCF Tech Talks, Random Shite. I'm Chris, usually ranting. Want to rant today about NFTs because people talking about them again, but people who buy NFTs are fucking idiots. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And we will talk about video games instead. Oh, I could moan about politics too. Boris Johnson's a fucking idiot. But anyway, Brexit was bad. Oh god, that's going to anger some people. Anyway, let's talk video games. We've got quite a few things. Everything's delayed, which, as per, it's to be expected. We have Nintendo news. They're going to spend a bit of money. Well, everybody else is acquiring things. Why don't Nintendo? Square Enix have finally admitted that I was right, which, yes, of course I was. And Take-Two, 2K, whatever you want to call them, they've cancelled something, which, yeah, it probably didn't have enough casino mini games in.
It wasn't called GTA.
Am I wrong? It's like, if it's not got 1,000 casino mini games in like NBA, then they're gonna cancel it. But well, let's get started with many delays. Go on, Alessio.
Yeah, the past week has seen the usual, perhaps even more than usual, share of delays. The last one actually came just on Friday, and it was the delay of Final Fantasy XIV and Walker, actually, although it is a minor delay, so it's a couple of weeks only. But, it's understandable when it's a small delay like this. And then we have more delays, like Space Force 3's console versions delayed to March. Also, Marvel's Midnight Suns, the new game by Firaxis, is delayed until the second half of next year. And I'd say perhaps most critically is that I'd say the big update that was supposed to come to eFootball 2022, it was supposed to come next week. Actually, it was delayed by like 6 months until next spring. And
they're going to revive a dead game in 6 months.
Yeah,
or attempt to revive a dead game.
Yeah, this is really a bad look for Konami, I'd say, because they were banking a lot on this game. There was a lot of hype, because last year they only basically did the squad roster update, and this time they were supposed to come out with a bang thanks to the new Unreal Engine based game, but the reception has been terrible.
I think bad luck and Konami just seems to fit together. Konami is shit.
Yeah, Konami. Yeah. When was the last time they did something decent? Metal Gear Solid 5, and it was incomplete.
Ruin that.
Yeah, it was an incomplete game. It was the last time, I think.
And and of course, eFootball or PAS, however you want to call it, it was perhaps the last good thing or decent thing that Konami was doing. So they have now screwed this up as well, and I don't know. It just looks bad, on all sides. And that's not even the last of it, because, and this is something Chris will chime in about, I know. Blizzard has delayed Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 to 2023. So not even next year. and they've also lost one of their co-leaders that actually already they only joined like a few months ago, so not a long stay. And yeah, it's it looks like they've also got quite a few restructuring to do internally. Chris,
I'm letting Francesco talk first.
Nah, I know you want to go off on this.
I don't need to go off. I said it all. I said it all in the obviously not for other people to hear, but in our private chat when discussing with somebody else on the site who doesn't seem to understand that it's just smart business sense. The simple reality is that Activision Blizzard is getting nothing but bad PR. They're trying their damnedest, even if every single move they make is just seen as the shady bullshit it is. Kotick taking a pay cut? Well, does it matter? He got paid over $100 million in bonuses last year just for sacking people during a pandemic. He's a cunt. We know he is, and the pay cut doesn't matter. The fact is that they've overseen a system where people have been abused for decades. They've seen a system where people have just had their lives ruined by constant crunch, constant abuse, profiling, like anything from racism, sexism, any other bigotry you can think of. I'm fairly sure if anybody talked about it, there would be quite a bit of homophobia in there as well. Like, it's an environment which, in reality, it should have been burnt to the ground. Ideally, with the management sat inside there, covered in gasoline. That's me being nice. But they need to delay Diablo and Overwatch 2, simply because if another story of soul-destroying crunch where it's months upon months upon months upon months of time where these people barely see their family, it's more abuse that just... I'm fairly sure the lawsuits will definitely bring that in at that stage because it is illegal. I know America has that situation where there are no such thing as workers' rights. In fact, there's no such thing as rights in America generally. It's like, if a company decides it's going to shit on you, that company gets free reign. But public perception of Activision Blizzard has certainly changed. Maybe not the general gamers TM, the average person who rants on boards. Who cares about these workers and the fact that they've been essentially killed? Who cares? That's what these people think. But people who've got a conscience, they've twigged on. They know now. And I mean, I've been like this for... I haven't spent a penny on an Activision Blizzard anything for 8 years now. Whenever Diablo 3 was released, I haven't spent a single penny since then.
That's 9 years then.
9 now? Yeah. Bloody hell. Well, 9 years then. And most boycotts from people don't tend to work. I'm just a stubborn bastard, and I will not give them money until they're like that. And yeah, so I'm hoping people are finally realizing that these companies aren't worth supporting. And the sooner people realize this, the better. Because if it has a knock-on effect that makes the game... I don't give a shit if companies make a bit less profit. They're still going to be profitable if they make a good game. They don't need to crunch. And the knock-on effect is bad. Again, you look at CD Projekt Red, that was a undeniable fan favourite. Nobody had anything bad to say about them. Cyberpunk certainly changed that.
Yeah.
So these companies need to realise... First, people need to realise that things need to change. And I will never stop harping on about that, as much as it pisses people off in the comment sections. That I live to piss people off. They're always wrong anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm right. That's all that ever really matters. If I say something, it's going to be right. because I actually think about what I'm saying.
It's the Chris law.
It's not. I don't mean
But
to be. It's
I
not
mean,
that. Go on.
yeah, as you mentioned, most people may not care that much, which is kind of proven by the fact that Activision still had a great quarter. So they didn't really, they weren't really affected much. But on the other hand, Call of Duty and Vanguard, it doesn't have the best reception so far. So of course that's especially now with Blizzard delaying most of their big titles. Call of Duty really is their golden goose. So if that began to falter as well, then perhaps Activision would have
I
to
still don't even own, and I have not played Sekiro because of Activision's involvement. Those set of bastards.
Yeah.
Well, they have just published it, so that
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
think
They
they
will get
have
money
that
out
much.
of it. I cannot do it.
Yeah.
I have a rule.
Well, thankfully, From Software has gone back to Bandai Namco. At least.
Yeah. But yeah, with regards to the games, it will be, I guess, eventually a good move. Of course, more development time is always welcome, especially from developers who may not need to crunch as much, as you pointed out. But on the other hand, it's been quite a while since they announced those games. It's been, it will be 4 years when they release.
That's
Because
not unusual for Blizzard, though. Look at StarCraft Ghost. How long that was in
yeah,
development and never came out.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, I think the problem is for Overwatch that I think they just pretty much stopped releasing new content for the first one because they announced the second, and then I think they're sending it to die pretty much. They sent the whole franchise to die because people are going to. I think most people have already moved on. You don't get new stuff for months. They wanted to do. They did do the league, all that big esports stuff, and then just.
Well,
they announced the game and nothing is coming out. So
they closed down the Overwatch esports scene, didn't they? With giving the actual teams about 20 seconds notice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they're going to say that. Diablo is something else, really.
Yeah.
Probably won't be damaged that much, but Overwatch, I think this is going to damage the brand a lot outside of the crunch issues and development issues. They made the wrong choices, I think. They really made the wrong choices for that game.
Yeah, with Diablo, yeah, as you say, of course, it's really big, so it will be hard to damage it in that way. But on the other hand, if Path of Exile 2 releases next year ahead of Diablo 4, it may, steal some more players. Although it is a bit different. Diablo is more accessible and all, so, but we'll see.
Yeah. There's, I've said it. I could, we all know my thoughts on it. The simple reality is Activision Blizzard are currently they've made a smart move. And people more likely to get angry about the delays than they are to realize the fact that, or completely misunderstand the delays and just realize the simple fact that this is the very first pro staff move Activision and Blizzard have made in. Well, I can't think of another. I genuinely cannot think of another. So they haven't made a single pro staff move in at least 9 years, because I keep an eye on these things. So it's a good move for both the staff and the games. A delay only ever can be, and it could also be a sign of how bad of a shape these games are in, because you don't delay games for that long unless you know that these games are absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll point out the simple fact that I'm right. That always helps. It's not that I think I'm always right. It's that I am always right because I don't say something unless I know it's right.
That's unassailable logic, Chris.
Yeah,
Precisely.
But
that makes sense.
But
That makes sense.
on the subject of me being right, we'll just skip. We'll move over from. We'll just swap topics around a bit. Let's just say I was right from when it was released, or within. Well, I was calling its death within a few months of release. Marvel's Avengers. Square Enix have admitted that Chris was right. It's dead, and even better, they've just announced that they're finally releasing Spider-Man on the PlayStation version. So, but
yeah,
they've announced a bit more content, but they've essentially announced that the game is a massive failure because, of course, it was. The game is shit.
yeah, Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda basically admitted to investors that all the challenges they encountered with the game as a service model eventually produced a disappointing outcome.
Eventually,
But
disappointing within 10 minutes.
perhaps you won't like this next part as much, because he also said that they are certain that the game as a service approach will still grow in importance, and therefore basically they have to learn from this lesson and learn how to incorporate this trend in their games in a better way going forward. So it's not like they are going to stop making game as a service games.
I don't have an issue with games as a service, provided that the game is actually complete when it releases. Avengers wasn't. Avengers was some half-baked mess that was barely out of beta when they sold it to people. And this is the problem with a lot of games as a service. And it's not only that. It's been what, 1 year since, just over 1 year since it was released?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more than that, but yeah, in September.
September last year.
Well, yeah, so just over 1 year then. Yeah, 1 year, 1.5 months. I look at games as a service that have worked. You can account for MMOs, which they're subscription based. So we look at the ones that aren't. So No Man's Sky, that launched as such a massive mess, but 5 years later they're still supporting it with massive updates, and they're making money off of it because of people keep going back to it. They get to make deals, putting it on Game Pass, and they make money off of that because people are playing it now on Game Pass, which Microsoft then pay for. You look at Ubisoft, and I dislike praising Ubisoft because of, again, the horrible work culture, literal rapes that have happened in that studio, and the cover up of those crimes. But For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege, two games as a service that started bad, they did not have the fans, and now they're massive. They're games that have made that company billions, like at least over 1 billion in profit, and that's because they may have faltered at the start, but they supported them year after year after year, and people have stuck by them because they know they're going to get that support. And yes, they sell skins and things, but they're not gameplay breaking additions.
Yeah.
So games as a service I don't have an issue with, provided that companies realize that it's a long haul. You can't expect to make all your profit up front and then keep making profit on the back of that just to keep supporting that game. You launch the game, you should support it. You should have at least 3 years where you may realize you're not going to make the hundreds and hundreds of millions, the billions that you're expecting, because it will not work like that. It is simple business. And the fact that some random pleb, have to explain that this is business in the games industry this is how it works for games as a service is not a good thing. Even MMOs that have become successful, they lose money at the start. There's the exception, obviously, in World of Warcraft, which was just such a massive hit from the very beginning. But EVE Online, that's had a very constant flow of people and it makes money thanks to keeping those people interested, keeping them engaged. Even the Old Republic, which, I mean, that's still going. Again, it works.
Yeah.
And it's not like Square Enix don't know this. Final Fantasy 14. They've delayed. They have just delayed the expansion, but that's now bigger. According to Google Analytics in searches, that is now bigger than World of Warcraft. How the fuck do they not figure this shit out? Put money to the side and expect to make some losses originally, but keep focusing on it. And also, don't make a games as a service based on a licensed IP, because that's just never going to work. Because you're so tied down based on what the other company thinks.
Well, I agree, of course, that games as a service aren't inherently bad or anything like that. In fact, they can be very interesting for both players and for publishers if done right. They need to have a lot of replayable content, possibly from the beginning. And then, of course, as you said, the developer has to support these games constantly with more content. And then the monetization, of course, has to be fair. That is to say, cosmetic only and no loot boxes. But if a game manages to tick all of these boxes, then they can have a shot at making a lot of money and delivering a game that's actually fun for players. So
no,
it's a win-win.
You're being silly there. Developers actually wanting to make a game that's fun. Actually, no, the developers do. It's the publishers that don't care.
Yeah.
They don't. They just care about the bottom line. It's absurd. And the other thing I did forget to say is that games as a service, you can't all make them simply because time is finite. Games as a service, every game as a service is trying to take time away from you, which inevitably means that you can't spend that time on another game. And that's what baffles me with, again, at the moment, Ubisoft, they're running two very successful games as a service, but then they release games like when they released The Division 2, that essentially is trying to be a games as a service by all the online missions and everything. A company cannot have about 5 games as a service running at the same time. It just doesn't work. And then other companies have got to realise that the market they're stepping into, which, again, Square never stood a chance. Not when they released a half-baked mess like that. But there you go. I don't know. Maybe I think these companies should just hire me because obviously I know more than them.
Obviously.
I keep pointing out the obvious and it keeps coming true.
I can already hear them lining up for you.
They should be. I don't see Activision. Listen to Chris. If you want to become a good company, I don't just kill Bobby Kotick. In fact, you don't need to kill him. Just kneecap him. And I won't demand his 100 plus million bonuses. Just give me $500,000 a year. And the rest of that salary, what you are saving, can go towards making good games and also keeping staff happy.
Okay, how charitable of you.
Well, I don't need that
it's
much
a great
money,
deal,
though.
I guess.
I don't give a shit.
It's a great deal.
Okay. But, another favorite publisher of yours, Take-Two, also was making what was possibly a game as a service. Well, at least the rumor is that it was a cooperative game. They have described it as a kind of cross between Saints Row and Call of Cthulhu. So yeah, a weird thing, but it was in development at Hangar 13, the makers of Mafia 3 and the remake as well. Sadly, it was cancelled, and it was interesting because Take-Two only basically announced it as a footnote in their earnings. They basically said that an unannounced title had been cancelled, and therefore they had to write off like 53 million. So that's quite a lot, you know. And then it was discovered that it was this game called codenamed Project Vault, and it was the one in development at Hangar 13. And it's interesting because it's not even their first cancelled game. Before Mafia 3, they had another game called Rhapsody, which was set in the Soviet era in Berlin, and that was cancelled as well. So I don't know. It's not looking that good
isn't long for this world.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There seems to have been no layoffs for now, so that's good. But
they've only just announced the cancellation. Give them a few months.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Stross Zelnick and the other executives are happy about spending 53 millions for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, in that stage, you have to wonder if you've already. Well, it's more of a thing. I don't think they've probably not spent 53 million. Part of that, like you said, they're writing off 53 million. So part of that will be essentially what the value of what was created already is, in addition to the money spent. So, but even then, they've spent a good 30-40 million dollars. Surely the game wasn't. Was it a late enough stage that they could finish it? Even if you just sell it, just make some money back from it?
Yeah, they basically said that even though actually focus testing was quite positive, they just didn't think that it was going to be commercially viable. I don't know.
It didn't have any casinos in it. I see.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I see. No casinos. Okay, right. Take-Two. Let me explain something to you. Not every game needs gambling. I know it's a shocking thing. I know the basketballs are loving their gamblings at the moment, and all your other sports things with all your little slot machines and roulettes. And to be fair, I'm not even going to argue that they put a casino in Grand Theft Auto, because weirdly enough, I think it needs a casino in there, because that's just fitting of the lifestyle. I'm actually quite annoyed that there was no in-game casino in Cyberpunk. It's one of the few things I was going around Cyberpunk. I'm like, where's the casinos? Where's the gambling?
Yeah,
I actually wanted gambling, in-game gambling, just money, not real money, in-game money, but it should be there. But no, Take-Two.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, you need to move away from the gambling. Go talk to Gambling Anonymous. Somebody there will help you. Somebody will help you.
I don't think they will, but
they need to. It's a really bad condition that it's not good for them. Eventually, their wives and children will see the problem. It can't be hidden forever. You have a problem. It's not as bad as it's not as bad as not as bad as wrecking your liver with narcotics or drinking. So don't worry, but you do have a problem.
Maybe they're hiding the problem by putting gambling into games so they don't do that in their real life. It's a way. It's a way to make it less bad, I suppose.
It baffles me though because I'm sure they could have released that game. I'm sure that it wasn't commercially viable. Just fucking.
Yeah, I think it may have to do with the themes of the game. Might be something I don't know really, because
Yeah.
it makes since they say that testing was fine, it probably was something very controversial, and they wanted to avoid
Simple-minded
backlash.
bastards.
I don't know. I read somebody that said that it could have been based on bullying. It's speculation, but another bully probably wouldn't be. They wouldn't be able to release it now with how people see those teams. So otherwise, there is no reason to really burn all this money if the game was in a functional state and it wasn't a mess.
Yeah.
It probably would have been seen as controversial, so probably bad PR all over, and it probably made sense for them to burn this money and don't release it rather than release it and then get all the backlash.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I can think of, really.
Although I think they will, try to salvage as much as possible in terms of assets and whatnot.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they salvaged essentially everything from it and put it towards a new project. Whatever the story was, if it was the story that was controversial, like you say, we don't know. It's all speculation, but they've got to salvage something. Otherwise, but then again, I already mentioned a game which StarCraft Ghost that they never salvaged anything from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, God knows. It just baffles me. It does. It baffles me.
Well, thing is, it's probably wise not to expect anything from Hangar 13 for at least 3 or 4 years. Because
I don't know. A few layoffs, we can expect them.
I meant in terms of games. But
go on. Let's move on to the last topic. Go on, Francesco. You can announce this one.
Yeah. So Nintendo has announced they're going to spend 900 million to expand their first-party studios, and they're not dismissing acquisitions, which is interesting because I don't think they've ever acquired any developer directly. They're just working at second-party. And I can see a couple of studios they may acquire if they eventually acquire someone. The first one is Platinum Games. It's just they worked so much with them. They have exclusives from them. So personally, I hope they don't, because we're getting Platinum Games on Nintendo consoles. We're not getting the best possible version of those games. As you know, as long as Nintendo releases underpowered hardware.
PC Master Race.
Sorry?
PC Master Race.
Yeah. And another studio I can see them acquiring is Monolith, the developers of Xenoblade. I think they worked on Breath of the Wild. They're working on Breath of the Wild 2. They're helping development. So they probably would go for them. But yeah.
Monolith are already owned by Nintendo. They bought them from Bandai Namco.
They are? Okay.
Yeah, they bought them from Bandai Namco in about...
Oh, right.
15 years ago?
Yeah, right.
I think it was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, so my bad. So yeah, I can see Platinum Games.
I think that I don't know of many that Nintendo actually own those studios that they bought.
Yeah.
I think Monolith Soft, One Up, I think there's another one. And I can't think of any more.
Yeah. I would have seen Atlus as a good acquisition for them if Sega didn't get them.
Sega will not sell them.
Yeah, will not sell them. But yeah, it would have made sense. They had the last 2 entries, and actually 3 entries, in the Shin Megami Tensei series were Nintendo exclusive, at least for now. So they probably would have that would have made sense for Nintendo. It would have made sense for Nintendo to get Persona exclusively on Nintendo. That would have made a lot of sense. But yeah, that's out of the question. Sega is never going to sell them.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
I think the reality is $900 million isn't really going to buy them any of those big studios, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm thinking something more like Level 5. What do you think?
I think they're pretty big in Japan, so I don't know if it's
it'd be
enough.
interesting to see. Curious now. I'm going to have a quick Google, see how much they are.
They're not that big in the West, but in Japan they're very big. They had so many series that were successful, and then they helped develop other games, like they developed Dragon Quest VIII. They have stuff. I don't think 900 million would be enough even for them.
Yeah, I can say that's what surprises you. You think of how much $900 million is not a lot of money in that situation. For buying a company, it isn't, but 900 million for, like, say, for first party titles will go quite far, because a Switch game isn't going to cost the same to make as a AAA, well, AAA major title on the PC and the other consoles, due to the focus on graphics, the engines, and everything. I think 900 million could probably go quite a way in getting at least another 12 first party titles off the ground. Licensed out, maybe not, well, possibly not even like Mario or anything like that, not even licensing out current IPs, but unless they have, make another Bayonetta, something along those lines, and then just focus on getting new titles off the ground, getting people, they made Splatoon, so get another
they could
new IPs.
They could also simply expand their studios to make more games at the same time, like multiple projects. But I don't know. I mean, Codemasters was purchased by EA for just a little over 1 billion. So I think they could buy a small to mid-sized studio, perhaps in Japan, with 900 million. I don't know.
Possibly.
We'll see.
One of those. I don't know. It's a weird one. Yep. Level 5 have got quite a few. Yeah, they've got 300
employees.
Yeah.
But it would be fitting for Nintendo, I think. Having Ni no Kuni and Yokai Watch exclusives, it would be.
Yeah, and Professor Layton.
Yeah, they had other series to that. I think Yokai Watch is already Nintendo exclusive.
Yokai Watch exclusive.
I think it only got released.
No. They Yokai Watch came to the PlayStation. It says here. Just
okay. All right.
I think that's more awkward anyway, because of they've got, well, God knows who owns it, because it's based on an anime and thing, or was the game before the anime? I don't know now.
I think the game was before the anime. Yeah, I think this happens often with level 5 games. They had that soccer game in Azuma 11, and then they made an anime of it. Then they made more games, but that really didn't break through in the West that much. They probably expected to, because Captain Tsubasa is so popular outside of Japan, but that didn't work out.
It is. It was the game first. It was a franchise thought up. By level 5. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. They're all cross-branded weird things.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for True Fantasy Live Online.
Yeah, that one too.
It was kind of a mythical project, but
yeah.
Who knows then? Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. They could, if not getting companies to make games again. I could probably foresee another Bayonetta being made. And then just see what else. Looking now, you've mentioned level 5. There was one game, a real old game of theirs that like, it's sort of a dead IP, but Dark Cloud.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That was on PlayStation. Yeah. Just 2 entries. The first one was. The second one was much better. then they just
I mean, Dark Cloud was published by Sony, so I don't know if they own who owns the IP. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So, what have you guys played?
Forza Horizon 5 and Football Manager 22.
Oh, you're so predictable, Chris.
What? Well, Forza Horizon 5 is absolutely amazing. It really is. Another 9.5. I don't even know why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. I genuinely don't know. I was so close. I don't know. I was torn between 9.5 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, and I'm just like, I'll give it 9.5.
Although I have to play devil's advocate here, for once I will be the one annoying about bugs, because like people are complaining of many bugs. The early access started a couple of days ago.
No. I had a few. That's probably why I didn't give it 10 out of 10. I did have a few bugs. I mentioned that in the review. Audio cues repeating themselves, and I did have 2 crashes, but I mean, the amount of time I played the game, it's like games have always got bugs. Probably is why I didn't give it 10 out of 10. Just those 2 crashes and a few repeating audio bugs. But I didn't have a massive amount.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
By the way, I was wondering. I never played a Forza game before, and I haven't played racing games in a long time. So how do you say how does it feel for someone? Because I was thinking about getting it.
Fun.
Because it looks great and it
That's
looks
all
fun. Yeah,
it's fun. It's
I was
an
wondering.
arcadey racer. It's more arcade than
Mm.
anything else. You have got so much control over the cars, though, like in a simulation racing game. But it's arcade. It's fun. It's designed for a controller. It's designed for you to sit back and be like this. Just that, because it's such a beautiful game. There's actually too much to do. Well, no, there's so much to do, but they need to make a filter so you can get rid of, because you can get up to 3 stars on any event, and I'm fed up of seeing all the icons where I've already got 3 stars. I'm like, I can't see the other icons because of the ones I've already done. Fuck off. But yeah, genuinely. Well, you've got Game Pass, haven't you?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, just get it on the PC.
Yeah. That's probably. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, just get Game Pass on the PC.
Yeah, right.
And try it for the month. And I mean, honestly, Game Pass.
Yeah,
I've got Game Pass. I really shouldn't have Game Pass because I never use it. Though I finally downloaded The Good Life because I did want to play that, but whether I will actually get to play it, I don't know. Oh, I also downloaded Psychonauts 2, but I've never played that yet either.
Well, I hope they fix some of the issues with The Good Life, because it's not really fun to play after a certain point. Too slow. The movement is way too slow, like I said back when we talked about this. So I hope they fix that at least.
And then, what are you playing, Francesco?
So I've been playing, and I'm still playing actually, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Finally, we can talk about that. And I'm not yet sure, but it could be my JRPG of the year. I really liking it. And in a year where there are 2 other games that I feel that I really like, that it's Neo: The World Ends With You and Tales of Arise, I think Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a little above both of them. You know, both the other 2 games have this issue that there's writing is not that good. They spend too much time talking about the same things over and over. This is Scarlet Nexus has this problem as well. Too many dialogues, and many of them they just don't add much. Shin Megami Tensei 5, goes straight to it. There's just enough story to keep you interested, but it doesn't overwhelm you with dialogues upon dialogues upon dialogues, and pretty much saying always the same thing. And one thing I really liked is that the open world feel of the game.
Okay.
You know, yeah, JRPGs right now feel like they're a little small. You get the worlds feel small, and this doesn't happen with that. It's open. It has a great sense of scale, and it just feels great. It just really feels great. Really, it's the culmination of the series so far. I think it's the best entry in the series right now. And yeah, the only problem is that it got released on Switch. So yeah, it's very limited by that. I think it on the field it really runs. I can't really say poorly, but I don't understand why they made the game run on the big fields with unlocked frame rate, because it's all over the place and it feels there's a little bit of input delay.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not that big, but I can feel it. I hope it gets released on other formats in the future. To be honest, I hope it really gets released on PC.
It needs a
like
PC release so I can play it.
Yeah.
I don't need to turn the Switch on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
anything
very
else?
good game. Oh yeah, well, I'm still playing Yakuza, the first one, Kiwami. I think I'm almost done. I'm thinking like chapter 12. So
Go on, then, Alessio, how much of New World have you been playing?
A lot. Well, of course, as with any MMO, the last few levels are the longest ones. So I just did finish the 50th level, actually. So it's really close now, but yeah, it is getting long, and I just did one of the new dungeons for my level yesterday, and we got our ass kicked to us because the last boss was really quite hard, and so yeah. But I take it in strides, because it is also fun in a way to, I have to come back to some dungeon, and I have to figure out the strategy, for the equipment, and actually get revenge, and finally beat the boss. So it's just part of the process, I'd say.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
anything else?
No, other than New World, no. I will be playing something else, but it's interesting because I haven't played it yet. There's a review event coming for this game, but when this goes live, I think the review will also be live as well. So I can't really talk about it.
The review event? Are they not just sending a code?
No, because it's a multiplayer-only game.
Okay.
So I think you might have understood which one is it. It's a shooter game.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm actually blank. I don't pay attention to games anymore. I don't even know what video games are if they don't have Football Manager in it.
That's the big gaming expert that wants to be hired.
No, I'm a business expert. Yeah, no. Yeah. There's so much coming there. But yeah, well, I think that's everything from me anyway today.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That's about everything.
Sounds good.
Play some games, have fun.
Exactly. I can't do much else. Broken foot still. Yeah, so that'll do. Yeah, so thank you for joining us, everybody, and play Football Manager.